You walk into a room, and the tension is thick. One comment, one raised eyebrow. Suddenly, you shrink. Your thoughts spiral. Your peace is gone. Not because someone hurt you, but because you let them. You've trained your muscles, your body, your career. But your mind? Wide open, vulnerable. A battlefield without defense. You snap at criticism, crumble under pressure, dance like a puppet every time someone pulls an emotional string. How long will you keep living like this at the mercy of things you can't control? There is another way, a brutal one, but it makes you untouchable, unshakable, and it begins with 10 principles forged in the fire of ancient Stoicism. These aren't motivational quotes, they're psychological weapons, mental armor, forged by men who lived through exile, slavery, betrayal, and still stood tall. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. Names born in chaos, remembered for control. This isn't about feeling better, it's about becoming better, stronger, resilient, immune to the emotional bullets that once tore through you like glass. In this video, we'll walk through 10 Stoic principles that, when internalized, will make you mentally unbreakable. And it all begins here with the most violated rule of all. Guard your mind. Your mind is not a playground, it's a fortress. And right now, it's wide open, gates unguarded, walls crumbling. You think you're free because no one's chaining your body. But look closer. You're a prisoner, chained by distraction, addicted to dopamine hits. You scroll, swipe, binge not, because you choose to, but because you can't stop. You've surrendered your strongest weapon to every ad, every headline, every fool with a megaphone. Would a warrior leave his sword lying in the dirt? Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And right now, you are mastered by everything. Negative thoughts crawl in because you leave the gates open. Toxic people pour venom into your ears, and you drink it like wine. You stay updated with news that poisons your spirit. You let everyone in but never clean house. You wouldn't let garbage rot in your living room, so why let it rot in your head? Guarding your mind means choosing what enters, ruthlessly, intentionally. Start by filtering. If it doesn't build you, strengthen you, sharpen, you cut it out. Delete the app, block the number, walk away from the conversation. Choose silence over chaos, books over noise, stillness over clutter. Your peace is not a coincidence. It's a consequence of discipline. Mental resilience isn't built in some seminar or therapy room. It's forged in the decisions you make every damn hour. What you read, what you watch, who you talk to. Every one of those is a chisel, shaping your mind into a weaponer, a wound. You say, "But I want to stay informed." No, you want to stay distracted. Informed people make decisions. Distracted ones just react. Guarding your mind also means setting boundaries with yourself. You are not your urges. You are not your cravings. You are the general commanding the army inside your head. If you don't command, they riot. Wake up and choose. Choose focus. Choose clarity. Choose ownership. Because if you don't guard your mind, someone else will invade it, and they already have. Next, we go deeper. You think you can handle criticism? Think again. You flinch when they criticize you. You fume. You spiral. Why? Because you've made a fatal mistake the Stoics warned about 2,0 years ago. You tied your identity to approval. Now, every negative comment is a wrecking ball. Every disagreement feels like betrayal. Every raised eyebrow is a personal attack. You're not living, you're auditioning, hoping the world claps. And when it doesn't, you collapse. Epictetus said it clearly. If someone speaks ill of you, it's because they think it's true. So what? You know who you are, don't you? But that's the real issue, isn't it? You don't. So you grab validation like oxygen, you scroll for likes, you argue with strangers online, you replay criticisms in your head like a broken tape, because deep down, you believe them. You're fragile. A cracked mirror, begging not to be touched. Enough. Criticism is not your enemy. It's a mirror. Ugly, sometimes. Distorted, often. But souseful. The Stoics didn't fear criticism. They dissected it. First, is it true? If yes, good. You've just received feedback people pay thousands for. Grow from it, fix it, move on. If not, why waste a second? You don't take poison from a stranger and say thank you. You toss it. Same with bad opinions. But here's what most miss. You don't need to respond to every critic. You don't owe explanations. You don't have to justify your life to people whose own lives are on fire. Your value is not up for debate. And when it is, walk away. Not with rage, but with calm. Because that's your power. Criticism only burns when you're soaked in insecurity. Dry yourself off with discipline. So how do you handle it like a Stoic? You listen without bending. You analyze without internalizing. You respond only if it serves truth, not ego. If someone calls you lazy, ask yourself, am I living aligned with my values? If yes, move forward. If not, adjust. But never react. Reaction is weakness wearing armor. And don't confuse silence with submission. Choosing not to argue isn't defeat. It's dominance. Stoics practiced what Seneca called voluntary hardship. They built inner strength, not when things were easy, but when they were insulted, mocked, rejected. They didn't flinch. They refined. Let the weak chase comfort. You chase clarity. Your mission is not to be liked. It's to be unshakable. From now on, every insult is weight on the bar. You lift iter, you break. But if you lift, you grow. Stronger, sharper, colder. And that's what you need. Not more compliments, more control. Handle criticism like a Stoic and watch how fast the world stops owning you. Because the truth is brutal. If a sentence from someone else can ruin your day, you were never in control of it to begin with. Next, we turn the blade inward. Let's talk about offense and why taking it is a choice. They said something rude. You felt offended. You told yourself it was their fault, their tone, their words, their disrespect. You're wrong. It wasn't what they said. It was what you believed about what they said, the meaning you assigned to it. That's what cut you. The knife was theirs, but the blade was sharpened by your own mind. Epictetus said it best. It is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. And offense is judgment. It's ego disguised as emotion. It's the belief that you're entitled to be treated exactly how you want. That everyone else should cater to your image of fairness, tone, timing. But the world doesn't care. So here's the brutal truth. Offense is not something you receive, it's something you permit. When someone offends you, what actually happens? You create a narrative. They meant this. They disrespected me. They think I'm weak. And the mind reacts not to the words, but to the story. That story is your prison. So if you want freedom, start here. Rewrite the narrative. You're not a victim. You're not fragile. You're not entitled to immunity from rude people, harsh feedback, or clumsy communication. You are entitled to one thing, your response. And here's what Stoicism demands: turn offense into insight. Instead of flinching, observe. Instead of reacting, reflect. Ask, why did that hit me so hard? What wound did it expose? What belief did it threaten? Most of the time, offense reveals a truth you're not ready to face. Good, That's your work. That's your training ground. That's where emotional armor is built. Forgiveness, that's not softness. It's strategy. You release resentment not because they deserve peace, but because you do. You let go because clinging to offense burns you more than them. Offense is fire. You either burn in iter, forge yourself through it. Here's how to transform it. Slow down. Don't respond on impulse. Let the heat pass. Investigate. What part of your ego felt attacked? Is it valid or vanity? Reframe. Can you extract a lesson, a flaw to fix, a strength to defend with calm? Let go. Don't carry poison hoping they'll suffer. Spit it out. And if needed, walk away, not with bitterness, but with clarity. Because strength is not shouting louder, it's needing to say nothing. It's the smirk of someone who knows exactly who they are. Next time someone tries to offend you, thank them. Silently. They just revealed your weak spot. Now you know where to reinforce. That's what Stoics do. They don't collect offenses. They collect data. They weaponize it. So ask yourself, are you going to keep playing emotional defense? Or are you ready to go on offense with your own self-mastery? Because every offense is a chance. Break or build. And you're done breaking. Fear whispers, shame chokes, and you obey. You cancel plans. You avoid confrontation. You shrink. All because of two illusions you never question. Fear and shame are not facts. They're stories. Scripts written by a past that still controls you. Voices of failure, rejection, humiliation echoing louder than your own. But Stoicism teaches this. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca. In other words, you scare yourself, you shame yourself, long before anyone else does. Fear isn't the enemy, cowardice is, shame isn't the problem, attachment to perfection is. Let's dissect them. Fear. Fear feeds on vagueness. What if they laugh? What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? But ask yourself, what exactly will happen? What do you really fear? Being embarrassed? Making a mistake? Losing status? Good. That means you're human, but it also means you've forgotten. Growth requires risk, pain, discomfort. No warrior trains in comfort. No hero rises in certainty. You think fear is protecting you. No, it's imprisoning you, keeping you safe and small. The Stoic approach: walk toward it, break it down, prove it wrong, again and again, until it kneels. Public speaking: speak. Confrontation: speak truth calmly. Rejection: ask anyway. Fear dies in repetition. Shame. Shame is trickier. It's quiet, internal. It tells you, you're broken. You're not worthy. But who wrote those lines? Parents? Teachers? Society? A version of yourself you haven't updated in a decade? Let's be clear. Mistakes don't make you worthless. They make you human. And if you still carry shame over things you did or didn't do, then you've mistaken penance for growth. Holding on to shame doesn't make you better. It makes you weaker. You hide, you lie, you avoid mirrors. But Stoicism teaches self-accountability, not self-destruction. Reflect, learn, forgive, evolve. That's the cycle. Not regret, repeat, regret, but acknowledge, repair, rise. You can't heal from a wound you keep picking. Let it scar, let it teach. But stop letting it define you. Because here's the harsh truth. No one's thinking about your shame as much as you are. The world moved on. You're the one still bleeding. So what now? Face what scares you. Don't wait for courage. Action builds it. Own what shames you. Speak it, journal it, release it. Rewrite your identity, not as a victim of your past, but as a forger of resilience. Fear and shame are tests, not verdicts. And if you keep failing them, it's because you keep running, you keep negotiating with voices that were never yours. Silence them. Walk through fear, step over shame, and when your knees tremble, keep walking. That's strength. Because in the end, it's not the fearless who win. It's the one who fears and moves anyway. You say, I couldn't help it. Really? You lashed out, ghosted someone, binge-watched 6 hours, ate what you swore you wouldn't, skipped what you promised yourself. And your excuse? It just happened. No, it didn't. You let it happen. You surrendered to impulse, traded power for comfort. You called it being human. But let's be real, that wasn't authenticity. That was weakness. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastery doesn't come when things are easy. It shows up when everything inside you screams, react, and you whisper back, no. That's restraint. That's sovereignty. And it's rare because it's hard. But it's also the foundation of real power. Modern life teaches the opposite. Speak your mind. Follow your feelings. If it feels good, do it. That's not freedom. That's slavery with a pretty filter. You don't express yourself by exploding in anger or chasing every craving. You expose yourself as someone who lacks control. Restraint is not repression. It's redirection. It's not about bottling your feelings until they detonate. It's about choosing how, when, and if they deserve expression. You feel angry? Good. Use it as fuel, but don't fire it into someone's face. Channel it into action, movement, discipline. You feel desire? Of course you do. You're alive. But desire isn't a command. It's a signal. One you can analyze or not, obey. Because here's the reality. Every time you act on emotion without thinking, you train yourself to obey it. And every time you pause, you train yourself to lead. That pause, that's the Stoic superpower. The gap between urge and action, that's where character lives. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Simple, brutal, clear. So how do you practice restraint? When you want to interrupt, listen. When you want to scroll, breathe. When you want to snap, wait. Do this daily, not to impress others, but to respect yourself. Because self-respect is earned when you act in alignment with your values, not your moods. That's the line. Animals react. Stoics choose. And make no mistake, this is war. Against the old you, the impulsive you, the lazy you. You want self-control, then bleed for it. In silence, in discipline, in choosing what hurts now, so you don't regret it forever. This isn't about becoming robotic, it's about becoming reliable, grounded, feared by chaos. You don't rise by feeling more, you rise by doing less of what weakens you. The next time emotion flares, don't trust it, question it, tame it, and only then, if it aligns with reason, act. Because if you can't restrain yourself, someone else will do it for you. Your enemies, your addictions, your circumstances. Better you do it now, while it's still your choice. You wake up, you check your phone, you reply, you scroll, you react. And just like that, the world owns your day. Not you, not your mission. Because you don't have one. You float, you chase, you try to keep up. But the truth? You're lost. Not because life is hard, but because you never drew a map. You never asked the one question that would change everything. What the hell am I here to do? Epictetus didn't mince words. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. But you never said, you never decided. So now, you're tired but directionless, busy but empty, ambitious but aimless. You confuse motion with meaning, but movement without purpose is just noise. Let's fix that. A firm purpose isn't a Pinterest quote. It's a line in the sand. It's the standard you refuse to fall below. It's the mountain you bleed for, not because it's popular, but because it's yours. You want inner peace? You need inner clarity. Purpose gives you that. It cuts through fog. It silences distraction. It whispers in the storm, "This is why I'm here." Without it, you're a leaf in the wind. Every opinion sways you. Every setback shatters you, because you're not anchored to anything real. So how do you find it? Stop asking what feels good. Ask what you're willing to suffer for. What pain are you willing to repeat because the result matters? That's purpose. Maybe it's building a legacy. Maybe it's becoming the father you never had. Maybe it's mastering a craft, teaching, leading, protecting. Whatever it is, own it, write it, speak it, burn it into your damn soul. And when distractions come and they will look at that purpose, ask, does this serve my mission or sabotage it? Purpose gives you that filter. It makes decisions simple, even if they're not easy. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always feel strong. But when you have purpose, you act anyway. That's the difference between men who drift and men who build. And don't wait for it to arrive. You craft purpose by choosing, committing, refining. And once chosen, protect it like a soldier guards the last flag still standing. People will try to pull you off course, tell you to chill, relax. Don't take life so seriously. Ignore them. They're not building anything. They're not bleeding for anything. They just want company in their drift. Let them float. You march. Because the man with purpose walks differently, talks differently, lives with force. He doesn't chase every trend. He doesn't panic at every storm. He's grounded, centered, relentless. You want that? Then start here. Define your mission, write your code, and from this day on refuse to move like a man without it. Because without a firm purpose, you're not living. You're wasting time between distractions. You lift weights, you grind, you hustle, you post about grind set, and no excuses. But the moment life punches you in the mouth, you break. Because all your strength was surface. Real strength? You can't flex it. You prove it. Quietly, consistently. Especially when no one's watching. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, hardship isn't the enemy. It's the entrance to power, to peace, to self-possession. But most people dodge it. They chase ease, numb the pain, blame the world, and then wonder why they stay weak. You want inner strength? Then stop expecting comfort. Start demanding resilience. Inner strength is not reactive, it's proactive. It's what you build before the storm, so you don't drown when it hits. And it begins with 3 brutal truths. 1. No one is coming. You wait for validation, support, rescue, but no one's coming. Not in the way you want, not consistently, not forever. That realization hurts at first, then liberates. Because now you stop outsourcing strength. You generate it. 2. You are not your feelings. You have emotions. You are not ruled by them. Sadness, not weakness. Anger, not power. What matters is how you respond. Inner strength means you can sit with rage and not explode. Sit with doubt and still act. Sit with fear and still speak. That is power, to choose your response, especially when everything inside you wants to scream, flee, or quit. 3. Discipline is the doorway. You think strength shows up in crisis. It doesn't. It shows up at 5 a.m. when no one's watching. In the workout you didn't skip. The journal entry you wrote through tears. The task you finished when your mind screamed, later. You build strength every time you do what's right, not what's easy. So, how do you cultivate it? Practice voluntary hardship. Choose discomfort daily. Train your will like a muscle. Create routines that don't rely on motivation. Get intimate with boredom. Master the mundane. Because strength isn't sexy, it's consistent. Inner strength is forged in silence. In the days you don't want to show up, but do anyway. You want confidence? Earn it. Through action, repetition, alignment. Your brain needs evidence that you're reliable. Give it. Daily. And when chaos strikes, and it will, you won't need to act strong. You'll be strong. Grounded. Calm. Focused. People will wonder why you don't flinch, why you don't fold. They'll call it luck, genetics, personality. Let them guess. You'll know the truth. Your strength wasn't given. It was built in solitude, in struggle, in silence. And no one can take that from you. Next, we sharpen this strength. We stress test it. We step into the fire on purpose. It's time to anticipate the ambush before it comes. You call it bad luck, bad timing, life being unfair. Wrong. It's not unfair. You were just unprepared. You walked into battle with no armor. You stepped onto the field thinking everything will go smoothly, and when it didn't, you folded, complained, panicked. Why? Because you never trained your mind for war. Epictetus taught the concept of premeditatio malorum, premeditation of evils. Think about that. Philosophers didn't sit around sipping wine. They sat in silence, visualizing the worst and training their minds to face it without fear. They imagined betrayal, injury, loss, poverty, even death. Not to become numb, but to become ready. Because here's the truth. Life doesn't care about your plans. It will wreck your schedule, your goals, your pride. And if you haven't rehearsed failure, setbacks, and pain, you'll break the first time something goes wrong. But not if you saw it coming. When you anticipate obstacles, you rob them of their surprise. You gain psychological distance. You reduce panic. You prepare. And in a world that runs on chaos that makes you dangerous, you wake up late, your car won't start, your boss flips, your friend betrays, your health dips. Did you think you were immune? Why are you shocked that humans act like humans? Obstacles are not anomalies, they're constants. So act accordingly. Here's how Stoics prepare for war before it starts. Visualize failure before it arrives. Before the meeting, imagine the tech failing, the tough question, the awkward silence. What will you do? How will you stay composed? Expect resistance from others. People will not always support you. Some will sabotage. Some will misunderstand. Expect it. Don't take it personally. Prepare your response. Audit your vulnerabilities. Where are you most likely to snap, to quit, to make excuses? That's your weak flank. Reinforce it. Build backup systems. Don't rely on feeling ready. Rely on habits, routines, prepared scripts, emergency protocols. Stoics aren't reactive, they're rehearsed. And most importantly, detach from outcome. The obstacle is not whether things go your way. The obstacle is whether you stay composed when they don't. You don't rise by avoiding problems, you rise by outgrowing surprise. This mindset isn't pessimism, it's power. It means when adversity strikes, you're already moving, already adapting, already calm. The weak panic because they expected ease. The Stoic breathes because he expected everything else. Start practicing today. Picture the conversation going sideways, the deadline missed, the betrayal, the failure, and in your mind rehearse who you'll become in that moment, because that's when strength is measured. Anyone can be calm when skies are clear, but when the storm hits, who are you then? The one who whines, or the one who moves with certainty? Plan for the storm, smile when it comes, and walk straight into it. You'll be ready. You're angry because life didn't match your fantasy. You're frustrated because people didn't act how you wanted. You're exhausted from trying to control things you never had control over. That's not strength, that's delusion. The Stoics had a word for this disease, resistance to reality, and they had one cure: acceptance. Not surrender, not giving up, not sitting still and smiling. Acceptance means, I see it clearly. I stop wishing it was something else. Now, I move. Marcus Aurelius said, objective judgment, now at this very moment. Unselfish action, now at this very moment. Willing acceptance, at this very moment of all external events. Let that sink in. You're not upset because things are hard. You're upset because you thought they'd be easy. You're not in pain because life's unfair. You're in pain because you refuse to work with what's real. Someone leaves you, you fight it. You fail, you deny it. You're aging, you panic. Instead of flowing with life, you cling to what was, or what should have been. That clinging, that's your suffering. Stoicism teaches that the only way forward is through the job loss, through the betrayal, through the diagnosis, through the storm. But not with resistance, with readiness. You want clarity? Accept what is. You want peace? Accept what is. You want power? Accept what is. Then ask, now what? Acceptance doesn't make you passive, it makes you precise. When you stop wasting energy on fantasy, you have all the focus in the world to act clearly, powerfully. Here's how to practice. Call things what they are. Not what you wish, not what you fear, just the facts. This is happening. Start there. Remove the drama. Stop narrating your pain. Stop telling a story. The universe isn't targeting you. Life isn't out to get you. It just is. Stop waiting for fairness. Fairness is not a law of nature. It's a human invention. Life isn't fair. It's indifferent. Learn to operate within it, not against it. Ask better questions. Not, why me? But, what now? Not, how do I make this go away? But, what can I build with this? Acceptance isn't weakness, it's the foundation of all effective action. Because when you finally stop resisting reality, you can actually change it. And this isn't just about the big things, it's about the micro moments. The traffic jam, the cancelled plan, the rude stranger, the delay. Each time you choose to accept instead of explode, act instead of whine, adjust instead of resist, you're building the mental muscle of a Stoic. You're telling the world, you don't control my response, I do. That's strength. Because nothing wastes energy like denial, and nothing fuels movement like clarity. So, accept, not as surrender, but as your starting line. Because if you can't accept what is, you'll never build what could be. You've spent years becoming something you're not. You chase titles that don't fulfill you, numb feelings you don't understand, pretend to be okay when you're breaking inside. You wear masks for likes, perform roles for strangers, and every day you drift further from the person you were meant to be. But Stoicism ends the charade. It brings you back to essence, to alignment, to nature, not trees and waterfalls, naturas in your truest, most rational, most resilient self. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Let your every action be worthy of your nature as a rational being." This isn't poetry, it's a command. Live according to your nature. You were not born to scroll all day. You were not made to be outraged by pixels. You were not built to live for approval. You were designed to think, to endure, to create, to serve, to lead, to stand firm when the storm hits. But how far have you drifted? Living according to nature means remembering who you are beneath the noise. Not a consumer, not a victim, not a machine chasing comfort. You are a human being gifted with reason, discipline, purpose. And your suffering comes from forgetting that. The modern world is anti-nature. It rewards excess, vanity, chaos. It pulls you in 100 directions, none of which lead home. So you must rebel. You must simplify. Strip away the artificial, cut out the drama. Discard anything that insults your soul. Live honestly, speak truth, do work that matters, build relationships on depth, not performance. Make decisions not out of fear but from alignment with your code. That's nature. You don't need more apps. You need more silence. You don't need to be more liked. You need to be more you. You don't need another identity. You need to recover the one that was buried. So how do you do it? Audit your inputs. What are you feeding your brain? Does it align with who you're becoming or distract you from it? Observe your behaviors. Are you acting from principle or from pressure? Return to your values. Courage, temperance, wisdom, justice. These are not just words, they're anchors. Rebuild your rhythms. Wake with intention, work with depth, rest without guilt. Repeat, nature has rhythm. So should you. Living according to nature is the highest form of strength, because it takes everything the world says you should be and burns it. And in the ashes, you stand, real, focused, untouchable. The world can't manipulate a man who no longer needs its praise. He doesn't need applause. He's aligned. He doesn't chase control. He is control. He doesn't seek peace. He creates it. Because when you live according to nature, nothing can affect you. You are no longer a puppet pulled by emotion, opinion, or fear. You are the hand that cuts the string. If this message cut deep, don't just nod and move on. I want you to comment one word below. Unbreakable. Not for me, for you. To mark this moment. To signal that today you chose to reclaim control. If you've made it this far, you're not like most. Most scroll. You stood still. Most flinch. You listened. Now leave your mark below. Let others know. The war inside can be won.